Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Deez and this is my workshop. It's a messy workshop. You can see we're in mid-project. So this is going to be the start of part 2 of my epic no-spill oil container. Part number 1, if you recall, I released that shortly ago. It was a big project. I did some internal threading. It was a very big challenge. I did some outside single point threading, and I had to marry those two parts together. The video ran very long, but it was my learning thought process. It was the first time I ever did some internal threading. It wasn't perfect, but it worked out. And the outcome of that first video was just to get the two parts to thread together. This video is going to be the finishing. It should be the finishing of the project and getting all the rest of the turning operations complete. And that should complete the no-spill oil pot. This is a more advanced project than I've done before, and it's primarily due to the internal and external single point threading that I've done. Never done that before. So I just wanted to do a quick intro. I would like to say you'll see a lot of nervousness on the first video and some excitement because, you know, some of it was successful. But I just wanted to get with everybody here before we started this, give a quick intro. This is going to be part 2 of our no-spill oil pot. All right, everybody, welcome back. This is going to be part 2 of the epic oil pot build. One thing that I need to do before I get started is clean this mess up. I've finished all of my threading operations, and I will just do a quick recap to start this video. We have our internal threading operation done. It's not perfect, but it is working. It's got a little chatter in there, if you can see. And then we have our external OD operation done. And we finished off the last video with a test fit. Let's start this video with a test fit. Get on there. There we go. So we know that the threading operations are all complete. I don't need to do any more threading. The base piece, whether it stays this length or I cut this down, is going to be a plug. So it'll be more of that 3-inch material extruded, and I'll cut a shoulder on it and it'll go into here. So the threading operations are all complete. What we want to do now is what I want to do is change all my gearing back to the original setup so I can actually do some proper turning and finish all of the rest of the operations. So the first thing I'm going to do is change my gearing out so that we get our normal gearing back for turning. And then I'm going to pause, make a list of order of operations, because now we have a lot of options. You know, I need to drill out the hole for my oil, for the brush. We need to turn this part down. I was going to fit this piece as a sleeve, but I'm not so sure I'm going to do that. Again, you know, this is a living, breathing project. All of my projects are subject to change as the design as we go on. And I want to put an angle on the top of this as well as on the inside so that oil is directed back down through the hole. But I also want to leave a flat here, because when I get a milling machine, I may want to make this a hex or cut a couple flats or something, or in order to get this on and off. I'm not sure. I probably won't because I want it to look nice, but at any rate, who knows? But I do want to leave a little bit of a flat here before I cut the angle in on the top, on the outside. Then, you know, once I get this turned down to its final dimension, I can chuck it up over here so I can turn on this piece so I don't have to chuck it up on the threads. But I want to think about all that before I get started. What are my next pieces that I'm going to work on? So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get the gearing changed back out, and we'll get started on part 2. Welcome back, everybody. We are continuing on with part 2. I did a short introduction showing where we left off with part 1. The video was really getting it's over an hour edited. It may even be an hour and 15 minutes. Again, personally, I like longer videos, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it. But it shows a lot of information, that my thought process as I went through all of the steps in part 1. I'm going to go ahead and leave it in there. Feel free to skip through. I know most people do, but that was my thought process from changing gears all the way through to marrying these two parts together with an internal thread and the external thread. So it's a long video, but that's part 1 of my epic no spill oil pot. Now, what are we doing here? This is I'll take screenshots at the end of this video. I'll post a bunch of close-up screenshots with my phone, which does a lot better job at close-ups, and I'll get some of the threads. You'll see some of the mistakes I've made, some of the chatter. I'll try to get some really good close-up pictures of my work. Again, remember, this is my first time doing an internal thread, so go easy on me in the comments, but I do want to share with everyone what I went through and what my outcome came to be. And I'm going to show you some close-ups of both the threads of the outside diameter and the inside diameter. In addition, we're going to move on, but I wanted to think about order of operations and modify my original plan a little bit. I'm thinking about the final steps that I need to make in order to complete this project, and I wrote them out over here. And really, it's just a few operations, but there's a lot of material to pull out of there. The first one is to bore the hole. Before I unchuck the workpiece from my lathe chuck, I'm going to go ahead and get that center drilled and bore it out to half an inch, and then I'm going to use a boring bar and bring it out to about 750 thou, just so that it's plenty big for one of these. You know, a half inch would probably be big enough. You know, I think the smaller the hole, the better. I just don't want my bristles getting all mangled up all the time. If it's 3/4 inch, I think it would fit down in there better. This is 890 thou, 900 thou. So that's going to be the first thing I do. Is I'm going to drill it out a half inch, test it, and then probably bore it to the final dimension of 750 thou. I think that's going to be plenty big for this brush to go in and out of there, and still, you know, I want to keep dimensions small where they can be small, so I can make this thing actually no spill. Number 2, I want to work on the tapers on the top. If you remember the design, the top is going to have some tapers up, but it's going to have some internal tapers like a funnel, so that when the oil comes out, it's going to drip right back down in. In addition, I'm going to add a flat to where it threads into the base. I'll add a flat first, so a flat, and then there will be a taper. I didn't draw that on the original. That's going to be a slight change. So to draw it, the top will actually look something more like this. So just to give you a quick idea. So the top's going to look something like that. Finally, I am omitting, well, I need to do the base plug. The base plate, I need to cut another slice of my 3-inch solid material, and we're going to put a shoulder on that. And I was going to originally JB weld it, but it's been suggested to try silicone. If silicone is oil resistant, then that would be easier for me to remove if I ever needed to disassemble this thing. I don't plan on it, but I'm going to try silicone. I'll do a little research first just to confirm that it's oil resistant. But I think I'll silicone the base plate in. But I need to create that piece, so I have to cut it out first, and then we'll put a shoulder on it. Actually, I'll chuck up my material, put a shoulder on it first, then we'll cut it off and we'll face it off. Having that full-size material might be easier for me to put my shoulder on rather than trying to chuck up on a small little lip. Anyway, so that's going to be the final operation, and then we can make this thing as high or as low as we want based off of the rest of those pieces. If we feel like it's too top heavy, we could shorten this pot and make this thing lower center of gravity, so to speak. Finally, now this is the finally, I am going to omit this tube. Remember originally I was going to put this tube underneath this. So I was going to have this shoulder at the base of the top. I was going to add this tube on here with those little teeth. I'm going to omit that because I think I have enough material there. I'm just going to get rid of that and just leave this. And the idea is I'm going to have oil in the base of this. There'll be air gap in here. But if this thing knocks over, hopefully this lip will be enough to where if it's on its side, the liquid level won't come up past this lip and ultimately come out. So later, after my original tests, I'll probably add an O-ring underneath in order to seal this top. Just some final steps at the end just to kind of seal things up as best I can. And ultimately that's going to be the end of it. It's a pretty basic design, almost kind of a streamlined bullet look to it, but that's what we're going to do in part 2 of our epic no spill oil pot. Hope you enjoy. All right, we're set up for the next operation. We're going to bore this hole out to 3/4 of an inch. And yeah, I'm going to use some 3/4 inch stock as my sort of a pin gauge. I'm going to oversize it so it slides in there nice and easy. The goal is to get this brush to be able to slide down in nice and easy into my oil pot. So we're shooting for 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to bore this out. So let's get started. that is the end of this side for now. I'll probably work on putting an O-ring up here at some point, but for now, I'm going to leave that much meat on here because I'm not going to put that tube on here for now. There's going to be a lot of volume in here. If this falls over, that the liquid would have to come up to the side, up and over this lip in order to come out. So what we will do is make sure this still fits. And it certainly looks like it. Looking good. Alright, take that back out. And now I think what we're ready to do is flip this piece over. I'm going to flip this over and we'll continue on because I got to finish boring out the other side to the same diameter. part 2, as I continue on with this video is going to get long too. Part 2 is just going to be finishing all of the turning. And then I'm going to break this out into a 3-part series. Part 3 will be assembly of the oil pot. So I'm going to finish all the turning, get all the pieces the way that I want them, and then what we'll do is assemble. There will be one final turning op after we assemble it, and that will be the OD to clean it up. Either we'll use some Scotch-Brite or something like that to clean it up. But for now, I just want to finish all of the turning and take a break, clean up again, and then we're going to assemble this thing. So let's keep going. This is the base. I've already got this cut off, and I've got the shoulder made. My battery ran out, but I wanted to just get that part done. So again, I put a shoulder on here. We're going to turn this and make this flat. This will be the base, and that will complete the base portion, and then we'll use silicone or JB Weld. I'm still on the fence. I'll probably use silicone, but we're going to go ahead and get this faced off nice and clean. That's going to finish the base, and then we got one more thing to do. Chuck this other side back up, and then that's going to complete all of the parts. I'll get this cleaned up, and then I'll bring you back and we'll show you where we are at the moment. All right, everybody, this is going to conclude part 2 of my epic no spill oil container. I'll put that away in a minute. This is just taking a really long time. I'm going to split this into 3 parts. The third part is going to be the assembly, but we have our main body components made. Here's our top. Turned out very nice. This is where our brush will go down. We have our base. This also turned out pretty good. Could use a little chamfer on this piece, but at any rate, it's going to sit on there like that. I'll silicone that on. And finally, our top will screw on like that. Now, it is a bit tall. I think what I might do is turn down this piece here in order to get it a little bit shorter. But at any rate, there is my epic no spill oil container pre-assembled, blown apart. Once I get that completely assembled, I'm going to chuck it up and we'll clean up all the sides and try to, you know, turn it down maybe just to shave it a little bit off, to clean it up. Maybe we'll just use some emery cloth. We'll see what it takes. There's a couple marred areas on there, but it's not too tall. That doesn't go down there too far. I really like how that's going. It almost looks like a bullet. Doesn't have any crazy shapes or anything, but that right there should work out pretty well. And if it falls over, there should be as long as I don't fill the thing up, there should be enough of a reservoir in there that would catch that oil so it doesn't just come out the spout. There we go. There's our main components. We're making headway. This took a lot longer today as well to get to this point, but there we go. I'm going to close the video out. This is part 2. If you haven't, please subscribe so you can see part 3. I appreciate all you subscribers out there. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.